Well, hey there, everybody. I'm gonna show you today how to bring your pretty Faceshift model into Unreal Engine. Okay, so here we go. Here is basically the scanned model of myself that Faceshift created, and you can export that scan into 3ds Max. And then I took that model and I brought it into Mudbox and painted my texture on the model. Faceshift does not pick up your textures. It does try, but it doesn't do a very good job. So you have to basically, what I did was I took a nice camera and I rotated around and took 8 pictures from all different angles and then painted that on through a projection map. Okay, so after you have that all ready to go, you make sure, in order for this to work properly, you need to disconnect the wire from your teeth and your jaw morpher. So just go into here. Whoa, don't be doing that. Touchy little bastard. Okay, so you select your bottom teeth there. Bring those back up. So you have all of your jaw movements, but you just disconnect the wires. You don't want the wires, and you'll figure out why later, okay? So select the whole guy, export selected, and I'm gonna save it as Breen 3D6. Yes. And these are all the options you want. Embedded media, yeah. Morph skin, yeah. Triangulate is important if you want to bring your model into a a video game engine. Very important. And okay. So right now what we're doing is we're just exporting this into Faceshift. So we open up Faceshift. Hey, there we go. Whoa, hey, whoa. Okay, so ignore that. We're gonna go down here. You go down to tracking and target, import, load target, and then you go to where you saved it. And Brain 36, and then it loads it up, and then you simply do this whole thing again, neck and left. I like to complain, by the way. And Faceshift, in my first tutorial, you'll notice I was going through here and these were not in order, and I was complaining. I was like, that's just terrible. Well, now they're in order. It's awesome. But now I'm gonna complain again. Why isn't there just a button that says fit to same name, right? There isn't one. So every time you have to redo something on your model, you gotta click on the first one and go, on the next one. Okay, so I'm not going to make you watch. I'm going to pause because it's annoying. Okay, and then after you do that, you want to make sure, because we're going to be driving the animation in Unreal Engine through the Faceshift motion capture file. Therefore, you need to make sure that you, for like jaw open, you also, not only do we have jaw open activated as far as the morph on the face, we also want jaw open on the teeth. And that's why you don't want them wired, because Faceshift is driving the animation and it doesn't know anything about wires. It doesn't know anything about that. And so if you try to export from Faceshift into Unreal Engine, it will completely keep it intact, as if it's waiting for the base model to activate it somehow. And then when it tries to drive the animation through these blend shapes, it won't. It gets stuck shut, literally wired shut. So don't do that. Make sure it's unwired. And then you go to jaw left and you do the same for the teeth. Can't see them right now because they're under his face, or inside his face. And then jaw forward. I think that's it. Yep. Okay, so then click OK. And There you go. And there's your guy. Hey. Alright, so if you stare right at your camera and hit this orient head and neutralize, it's a good thing to do right off the bat. And this is turned, obviously. Okay, so go ahead. This is a Faceshift demo. And then da-da, and play that. It's really bad right now. But the reason it's really bad is because, oh geez, it's not usually that bad. It's really bad because I have terrible lighting right now. Faceshift does not like that. You gotta have like the sunlight coming through. It's like 5, almost 6 o'clock, 6 p.m. Let's try this again. Hello. All right. That's better. You can also do a refinement pass. It takes a long time, it takes a while, but it will clean up a lot of stuff. So I'm just gonna go with that for now. And then you just export it. Export the FBX. And make sure you select the last one, because that would be the one you imported. You just want the rotation of the neck. Sure, you can export the audio if you want. You'll probably want some audio with your voice, I'm assuming, unless you're going to be animating a mime. And then we go to Game Assets and FBX, and I'll just name it Faceshift Test. And now we go into Faceshift Test. It asks you to save your audio file afterwards, so we save that too. And now we go into Unreal Engine. And within Unreal Engine, you, in this area down here, this is the third-person blueprint. Right-click, import, and we want to import the Breen 3D6. Okay, now the stuff is really complicated. Lots of trial and error, and this software only came out like last year, so there aren't a bazillion tutorials for every little thing. So there's a lot of stuff I don't know yet, but basically the import morph targets, you want that checked. And then material, import materials and textures. I don't want that. I already have those in here, so I just won't even bother with that for now. You know what? I'm going to, because I'm not going to waste your time going through and hooking them all up. This is just a demo. And then, yes, everything else is fine. And now this is kind of a gamble. If you import the morph targets with your model, it tends to take forever. So what I like to do is I like to go into Max and save a separate, it has to be the same file name. So you have to rewrite it twice, overwrite it. So you just click on the Breen 3D6 and check off of morphs so that you're getting the whole thing without the morphs. And then you go back in here and go ahead and import it. And the reason you want to do this, like I said, takes forever. So the way around that is once you have it imported in, just the model and its textures, then we can go ahead and re-import it, or refresh it, update it, after we go in here and go export, selected. And we should probably make sure this is done first. It's taken a while. That's the weird thing about Unreal Engine, is it's not consistent with loading times at all. Sometimes it takes forever to do something, sometimes it does it right away. So here's the face in the engine, and you can see that the textures are blurry and then they get precise. We don't want that. We want them to always be precise. So go down here under skeletal mesh and it says streaming distance. Make that like 20 so you can actually see detail on them. There. And that was under, if you just click on him, you cannot just click on something down here, it doesn't do anything. You have to actually drag it into the level and then click on it in the level, and then you get its settings. And so it's all the way at the bottom under skeletal mesh, streaming distance. It's just kind of nice to know where these things are located. So now that we have him inside the program, we need to get his morph targets. So since I came in here and I didn't do it, so not 5, no, 6. Yes. Now we go ahead and we turn the morphs on. And now we can just go, whoopsie daisy, back in here, re-import, and it will run through. And it's going 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. The other way, it would go 1, wait about 30 seconds. 2, like literally that slow. And you have to walk away from your computer. So, yeah, I think that's a glitch. Pretty sure it's a glitch. And it might not be happening in the latest version. I'm using version 4.7 something. It's a custom built version of the engine so that I could use the Hairworks modifier, and I'll show you how that works at the end of the video. Okie dokie. So now we have the morphs. We can double click on his skeletal mesh here, and you can see if we type in one value for the jaw open, his jaw opens. And it's got to recompile all the shaders just because it moved. Whatever. Okay. So now we want to get the animation in here that we created in, or that I created in Faceshift. So we go to import and we go to Faceshift. Where's it at? I put it in the FBX folder and Faceshift test. Alright, so now when we open this, we want to go to the skeleton. We want to select your guy you just brought in. And yes, morph targets. And import animation. Now, animation length must be animated time. Must be, has to be, or else it won't work. We don't need the materials, we already got the materials. Import. Still compiling shaders, jeez. So now it's generating all these morph targets. Should just be a second. I'll go ahead and pause and when this is done. Now his animation has been imported and it has a skeletal mesh with it. We don't want this one. This is the one that has all the default UVs and settings from Faceshift. We don't want that because I'm sure you probably made some modifications to it in 3ds Max. And so you get rid of that, and the animation itself is reading off of this original skeletal mesh that we imported from 3D Studio Max. And this is directly from Faceshift. So if you double click on it, you can see it works. Pretty cool. So now if you want to get this actually working, if we push play and we walk around, he's just like, nothing's working. So to get this wired on, we have to go over to his original skeletal mesh, right click, create a animation blueprint. Default name's fine. And then we want to go back to him and go over here and click on blueprint. Put it in your main folder here, third person blueprint, and create that as well. And so now we can delete him because we're not using a skeletal mesh anymore. A skeletal mesh is just an object. A blueprint is an object with the ability to be interactive and to have code and to respond to all types of different user input. So now he's a blueprint, which means he can be animated. So in order to get this set up, we go over to the, we click on him, first of all. And over here, it says the animation mode, use animation blueprint, yes. Animation blueprint to use, none. Well, come on, we want a blueprint. So you go over here, you just click on that, and there it is. That's the, this guy right here that we created, the animation blueprint. So the blueprint, it's kind of confusing. There's lots of different kinds of blueprints. The one we have here in the level, this guy is just a regular blueprint, like to do code and stuff. But the animation blueprint is to do animations. Oh my god. So go ahead and select your animation blueprint. Now we want to double click on the animation blueprint, and it has a list right here under your asset browser. So you just drag your animation up and you plug it into the final result and hit compile to see it. So now we can close that, and we can close that. And if we hit play, he'll be playing. Now the reason it's got that red on the side of the mouth, that's just because I didn't texture the inside of his mouth in Mudbox. So I'll have to go back and do that. But that is how you do it. Now, I will show you why you have to do it this way, unless anybody can explain to me why it doesn't work to just bring the animation from 3ds Max into here. I'll show you what happens when you try to. So let's go into Max and import the animation we just made. La-di-da. And that was animation test. Wait, was it? No, we want to go to FBX. FBX and Faceshift test. And then we want to add it. We don't want to update it right now. We just want to add it to show you. And everything's fine. Just add. La-di-da. Here we go. You gotta have a lot of patience when it comes to this stuff. Alright, so here's the animation in Max. Now, one should logically and correctly assume that you can just select the animated version, right? Now, what if I took this animated version, I just put them like right on top, make sure that it's all zeroed out, make sure everything's good, export the animation. I'll go back into the FBX folder, so we don't want that. FBX, and I'm going to say Faceshift export does not work. Okay, whatever. And then you're basically saying bake the animation from frame 0 to 124. Sure, everything else is good. Okay, and then click OK. Okie dokie, that's done. Then we go back in here, and now if I go to import, Faceshift does not work. And then we say, yeah, use that as a skeletal mesh, and exported time. You do animated time for some reason when you're importing it from Faceshift, but if you're importing it from 3ds Max, you do exported time. Okay, and don't need the materials. Morph target's good, and then just import that. So this will import as an animation connected to your primary skeletal mesh head. And I'll go ahead and pause it again while it runs through that. Okay, so that's done. So now if we go into the does not work, you can see why it doesn't work. It's playing the animation, but for some reason it does this. I don't know why. I don't know why. The only way I found to fix it was to actually bring it into Faceshift and then to export it from Faceshift. But if you try to bring it from 3ds Max, it doesn't work. It does this. It does this weird, really annoying, completely off the wall, random thing. And I don't know what to do about it. If anybody has had this issue and is familiar with this, please let me know, because it would be so much more convenient to like actually be able to clean up the animation and then bring it in here from Max. You know, it's actually kind of like you have to be able to do that. You have to. You can't sit there and like keep redoing takes until you get it right. You gotta like just do one and then go in and clean some things up. So this pipeline, basically, it gets it working, but it's not really a professional pipeline until we can figure out why I can't import them directly from Max. Why do you do this? Why? Alright, so yeah. If you do everything the way I showed you in this tutorial, it will work. But the problem is you don't have many options when it comes to modifying stuff. And now you can see he looks really washed out, and the hair is really washed out and everything. And that's all, about materials. I have all these materials, and that's like a whole other tutorial. Here's all the textures, for the mouth, for the head, and everything you need. The reason it's shiny on the top is because there's no specular texture on there. Let's see if we go into the materials and you double click on the face. Oh, it is in there. It's because I don't have the proper materials on there, so put that one on there. See how that changed? Okay, and then the eye. Go over here. I had all these set up previously, and then I just re-imported the old textures, but that's okay. So now, as far as the hair, the realistic hair, I feel like I'm forgetting something. I don't know. The main things to keep in mind are, until we can get this working properly, is don't have your lower jaw wired to your morpher, and make sure when you import the Faceshift animation that you make sure you set it to animated time, not exported time. And so now I'll show you the hair. That's like a whole other fucking subject. Excuse me. That's like a whole other frickin' subject. So import to game, and I've got a hair file here I made. Where'd it go? Probably under my name. Right here. Hairworks APX. So this works with the hair and fur modifier in 3ds Max. You have to download the Hairworks application, plugin, whatever. Why is he still there? Didn't I move him at one point? Go away. Whatever. Okay. Anyway, Hairworks. So it's something that you download from NVIDIA, and you can mess with that, figure out how that works. But here you go. You have your Hairworks modifier, and you're basically creating a spline that it reads. So here's your spline of your hair. You're basically creating the hair with hair and fur exactly how you want it to be, and then you use Hairworks to turn that into a spline, and then you export it as an APX file. And then once you have that, you also, by the way, this feature does not work in Unreal Engine by default. You have to basically rebuild using Visual Studio. You have to rebuild an entire custom engine, and that took a while to figure out. So you import that. If you didn't install that, then it just basically won't let you import it. So now it's imported, and we double click on our guy's head. We don't want that. We want to go into the blueprint, and then open full blueprint. Go to the viewport, and from here we can go ahead and add component. We want hair. Okay, so now the hair is right here, and it's connected to his head, so it moves with his head. You can see it's indented right there. And the asset right here under hair, you just select the only one we have, and poof, we have hair, and it's all gray. So you can set this all up in a another application and mess around with the features, and then you can just click here to load the parameters from assets, and for some reason it's not letting me. I guess there are no parameters right now for whatever reason, But if you scroll down to specular and color, these options here, we can just take our textures and drag the textures from our head into here as the root and the tip, and then we can go to the specular and drag the specular in. And that's just kind of a hacky way to do it. And you can see it looks a little fine, so you can go in and adjust the width and everything. But now you can see he's got hair and it moves around. Okay, well, that's a basic tutorial on how to get your guy working and how to get some hair on him. I mean, there's a lot of stuff you're gonna have to read up on as far as the hair is a whole other animal. And it works. But yeah, if anybody knows why you can't just take it from 3ds Max and bring it right in without it glitching like that, I would love to know the reason. Can't really move forward with a pipeline of any kind until I figure that out. As far as the eyes go, I'm gonna have to do some more research on that, because if you go to the internet and you try to look it up, nobody knows anything about eyes yet. And there's like one development company working on it, and the only thing they shared with us was a screenshot that's like so low res you can't even see any of the nodes or what they're called. And yes, I'm talking about this one right here. Like, that's as far as it zooms in and you can't see anything. I mean, you can see it sort of, but you can't copy it. And he kind of alluded that he did that on purpose. He's like, here's a tease for you guys. Oh, thanks for the tease. Alright, that's it. I hope somebody appreciates this tutorial. Have a good day.